welcome to Brigitte She Shed. This is episode 17. Today is Sunday, April 2nd, 2023. Wow. Spring is here in the United States, at least where I am in southern Arizona. And it is a beautiful day today. My allergies are bothering me because everything is starting to bloom just overnight. So our expected high today is 80. Yesterday it was around 65. So this is beautiful weather today. I decided to make just a short little video to jump right in and just show you what I've done over the past week. So I want to say welcome to everyone, especially if you are a new viewer. Thank you so much for giving me a part of your Sunday or Monday, or maybe it's still Saturday, depending on where you are, but giving me a part of your time. And for my returning viewers, thank you so much. I've picked up several new subscribers this week, which is just mind-blowing. Thank you so much. I didn't start this channel to get into, racking up all of these subscribers and viewerships and things of that nature. But it does feel nice to see that people are watching the channel. They're enjoying the channel. They're giving me likes. They enjoy it enough to subscribe. So I really, really appreciate that. And thank you so very much. This is my small little corner of the fiber community to show and share my love of knitting, crocheting, sewing, anything with a thread and some form of a needle or a hook. I'm all for it. So thank you so very, very much for giving me your time. I really appreciate it, and inviting me into your space and letting me share with you the things that bring me joy. Time is so precious here. Over the past couple of weeks, we've really seen how precious life is. So thank you for being here. Well, I have a couple of finished objects. These the first one I'll talk about just briefly. I showed you last week, and I had had half of it done, and it was the fingerless mitts for my mom, and it was the mitts by Jen Yarn, and they're called the Everything November mitts. And that's the pattern there. Really simple to make. If you are a beginner knitter and you've been knitting what we call vanilla socks, which is just basically just knitting, maybe a little bit of purling, and you want to move over into doing some mitts, this is the perfect pattern for you. I go into more detail if you want to watch episode 16 about it. But they're finished and they're all blocked and dry. Ta-da! Aren't they gorgeous? So these are for my mom. She requested 2 pair, a white pair and a black pair. But on the black pair, she said she wanted some bling. Gotta love your mom. So mom is a prolific knitter. She taught me how to knit and crochet and sew when I was 7, along with my grandmother and a neighbor that we had, another elderly neighbor that we had. They all taught me how, but here they are. And I just love these. I think I'm going to have to make a pair for myself now. So if you're looking for something challenging but not extremely hard, this is it. This is it. So these will be going in the mail this week to Mom. Okay. All the info that I talk about here, which I forgot to mention. I'm so excited to get into the projects. Everything that I talk about here, I will put links in the description box so you can press the down arrow or hit the more button, whichever your device shows. And in addition to that, there's also information on if you want to contact me via Instagram or email. I have that information there as well. So that's the mitts. And my second finished object, I am so excited to have these finished. I started these a year ago, March of 2022. And this was my first colorwork project, and it wasn't going well, and I ripped it out, put it in timeout, and then started it again and put it in timeout. And I think I may have shown them to you last episode, but they didn't have a heel. And this was not your average cat lady socks. These are by Emma Carrion, and great pattern. My niece loves leopard print. I love leopard print also. My niece loves leopard print and requested a pair of leopard print socks. So I went scouring Ravelry, and I actually found this pattern. And like I said, this was my first color work, and the first pair I did, I'm a loose knitter, so I didn't go up a needle size. I just knit with the size that they suggested, the needle size that they suggested. I figured it would be okay because I'm such a loose knitter, and they said with your color work, you're supposed to knit loose. I couldn't even get it over my ankle. So I had to rip it out, and I went up a needle size, and then I started again. And I just put it to the side. It just was not bringing me joy. Since that time, in October, I found a different colorwork pattern, and I've shown it on other episodes. You can look back for the fall, where I made a pair, and it had little tiny ghosts around the ankles. And that was my first started and completed color work. So I made 2 pair of socks with the little ghost on it, a pair for myself and a pair for the hubs. Then I made a pair that I just finished earlier this year called Starry Night, that had little stars on them in color work. And I used some fingering and mohair. So then I decided, I need to go back and get the leopard print socks and finish those. So without further ado, here they are. Da 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 da! Okay, aren't they beautiful? Let's do one, it's easier to hold up. All right, so, a leopard can't change its spots, but you can add a pop of color. And that's what I did here on the heel. So this yarn is, which I love, is the KnitPicks Stroll. And it's in black, and the light brown color is called Treasure. The heel, the red in the heel, this is Malabrigo red, Ravelry red, and it's the Malabrigo sock, and it's 100% wool, and it doesn't have nylon in it. So what I did was I added a strand of nylon. I have some nylon thread that I purchased for when I'm making socks. that do not have nylon. The KnitPicks is a 75% superwash with a 25% nylon. But this is what the nylon thread looks like. It's a very thin thread, and it just gives it a little added stretch. So I held a string of the nylon with the Malabrigo here red to give more stretch in the heel. So it's a little plump, but it's okay. This is a afterthought heel or forethought heel. I don't know which one you call it, but the pattern tells you to knit and then to knit in waste yarn, and then continue on and knit the rest of the sock, and then come back and pick up those stitches and knit in your heel. I have a hard time, and I think I may have mentioned this before, I don't want to sound like a broken record. I have a hard time with, cutting into my knit. I break out in cold sweats. So this is like the third or fourth pair that I've done the afterthought heel. But this was the first time I did the method where you put in the waste yarn. The previous methods I did, you just go in and you pick up the stitches below and above, and then you actually cut the thread in the middle and pick out, and then go in and make it. I kind of like doing it with the waste yarn. And what I did to avoid any gaps, which is why I don't like doing the heel flap and gusset or the afterthought, is that you can't get holes or gaps at your intersections. It's that I picked up an extra stitch to the left and to the right of where my waste yarn was, and that actually helped close up the gap. So I'm so excited. This is just a round toe method here. And there are shorties. And let's see. I haven't learned yet how to catch the floats and all of that on the inside, but there's the inside. But I'm still learning with the color work. And this year my goal this year is to do color work. So I'm starting off, small and working my way. So that concludes my leopard print socks. They are finished. They are done. They're going to go in the mail this week to my niece. She has no idea that they're coming because all she did was she just made the request. She showed me a picture of some cute little ballerina slipper shoes that she had and said, "Auntie, can you make some socks, leopard print socks that look like my shoes?" And I said, "Oh, I'll see what I can do." And like I said, that's been over a year, so really excited. Okay. I purchased that nylon thread, in case you're wondering. I purchased it in several basic colors: red, black, gray, white. And like I said, I have it here because the hubs can be pretty hard on his heels and toes, and a lot of times I add that in, especially if the thread is very plump, if the yarn isn't very plump, even if it has nylon in it. Just some bases are thicker and more rustic or hardier than other bases, like the opal. That's a very rustic yarn if you have that, so I don't have to add it in when I make stuff out of opal for him. But other than that, I use that, and I believe I got it off of the website Lovecrafts. But I'll leave a link down below where I picked it up from. Okay? All right. So, moving on with the theme of color work, to tell you about a whip. And this whip I started 2 days ago. 2 days ago? Yeah, 2 days ago. And this is called Coffee Break. I have to get the book. And it is out of this book here by, ignore my little tabbies. These are all the things that I want to make when I'm going to make. But this is called Charming Colorwork Socks by Charlotte Stone. This is a great book. And actually, I saw this book on the podcast Hey Brownberry, and the podcaster, her name is Mars, and she was talking about the patterns in this book. She was actually test knitting some of the patterns in this book, and I got it off of Amazon, I think. But the socks that I'm making, and I believe I showed this last week, but there they are. Do you see the little mugs of coffee with the steam coming up? Isn't that adorable? So I went stash diving because, as you know, my goal this year is to use my stash and to use patterns that I already have. So I went stash diving, and the main color, which is this color, I am using this is from Hypnotic Yarns. This is from their Yarnable subscription box. And this is called Born to be Mild. And it's from the September 2021 subscription box. So like I said, I went stash diving. And that is a pretty good match, I feel, for the main color in the book. And then, let me just show you. Yarnable. I just wrote on there September 2021. And it's Born to be Mild. It's on their plush sock fingering base. And it is 85 superwash merino and 15% nylon, 437 yards and 100 grams. I was a subscriber to Yarnable for about 3 years. And this year I ended my subscription because, like I said, I'm trying to use up my stash yarns. But I highly suggest that if you're wanting to try out a great indie dyer and get on their box subscription, this was one of the best box subscriptions I've ever seen. The yarn is beautiful. The extras that you get are just out of this world. She opens up memberships for the subscriptions like 4 times a year. But if you put your name on, go on the site, put your name on the mailing list, she'll notify you when there are openings. And okay, so the other color with it, the dark brown, I'm using is from KnitPicks. As you can see, I like using KnitPicks. It's very budget friendly, and it's in my nice little cozy here, which has cups of coffee, and it's by a company called Cookies and Bees. I'll leave the link. But here's the yarn here, and it's got kind of smushed when I put it in there. I don't know what happened. My cake kind of fell apart, but it's inside the cozy, so it's okay. But this is called Burnt Umber Heather. And along with that, here is the other color. This is called this is called Wonderland Heather. And it's also by KnitPicks. And it's in a cozy by Cookies and Bees. This one has pumpkins on it. And that matches let me just turn back to the photo again. Those two colors match the dark brown and the blue that you see popping out there. So I think that with these three together, it's just beautiful for a coffee break. So let me show you how far I've gotten. So like I said, I cast this on 2 days ago, and I have done, oh man, I got balls and strings everywhere. Excuse me. I have done the cuff, and I've made the coffee cups. I'm down to where I'm working the heel flap, and it's here. It's kind of went to show it to you on a blocker. So I'm just starting to work the heel flap and gusset. This pair is for the hubs, and the hubs loves the heel flap and gusset. The pattern calls for Eye of Partridge, which is a very beautiful heel. I like it, but it just doesn't fit my foot very well. But he loves it, and it fits his foot perfectly. Much better than a short row heel. So I had originally was making these for myself, and the hub saw the pattern, and he said, "Oh, are you making those for me?" "Yes, honey, I am." And he says, "Thank you so very much." So look at the coffee cup. See the little steam coming up? So I think I'm getting pretty good. So here's the inside. So I hope to have, actually, by this time next week, this one sock should be finished. If, all goes well. This one sock should be finished by next week, and I should be starting on the second one. And then I plan on making a pair for me, depending on how much yarn is left. The Hubs has a large foot, so I don't know how much of that yarn I will have left, or I may have to mix it, find some other yarn. But it just, I think it matches. I think it matches what the designer used very well. I'm knitting these a little differently than I did the leopard print socks. Those I used magic loop. And this pattern gives you instructions that you can use DPNs, DPNs being double pointed needles, which is what you see here. This is what this is. Magic loop or 9-inch circulars. And so I've been making these socks using 9-inch circulars until I got to the heel. And then the heel, I'm using a DPN for the heel. So these are my heel stitches here. And so I'm knitting flat, going back and forth with the heel pattern. And so I'm using DPNs for that. The leopard socks that I made, I used magic loop. And I didn't like the way the floats would carry from the end of the round over to the next needle. So this is why I did just the circulars. And I'm really liking the way the pattern is coming out. There's no pulling. There's no gaps like in between there. So I like that. So I think I will be doing my Colorwork socks using the 9-inch until I get to, say for instance, the heel. Then I'll have to do something different. Now when I get ready to do the foot, because there's a lot of foot work to make for the length, I probably will put it onto magic loop. I'll get out of the 9-inch circulars and I'll slip that onto magic loop to do the foot, and then come back when I get ready to do that strip of color work right before the toe. I'll come back and do that with the 9-inch circulars, and then go back to magic loop to do the decreases on the toes, because you're getting into a much smaller circumference. And it's really hard to do that even with 9-inch circulars. But I am very pleased with how these are showing up. I love it. So, what's on your needle for spring? I really want to know what is on your needle for spring. What is on your needles or hook for spring? I have several patterns that I want to cast on for spring knits to wear during the summer. This year I've decided I would like to get some linen, sleeveless linen dresses, and be able to wear my like a knit tee over the top of that. And so I'm looking forward to knitting those. Although I was thinking probably shouldn't have made those like in the fall and winter so I can have them to wear now. But they're made, the patterns that I've been looking at are on very large needles, and they're it's kind of lacy that you kind of, can kind of see through it. So it should knit up pretty fast. So keep an eye open for future episodes. Well, let's see. That's all I have today. Oh, one thing I didn't do, let me do that right quick, is here is the label for the two contrasting colors that I'm using on these socks. So, and again, I'll post everything down below. I hope everyone's doing well. This is a very short episode. I just want to pop in today and just tell you I am so excited to be here. I'm so excited to talk about my knitting, and I'm so excited that you're here, and I want to know what you're doing. So I hope you have a fantastic week, this first week of April. Enjoy it very much. As always, stay healthy and be blessed. Bye-bye.